يكن يومك للشعب.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Don't you just hate it? Every time you switch on the TV, scroll through Facebook, or read a newspaper, it's Muslims have done this and Muslims have done that. They're barbaric, this religion is dangerous, etc., etc., etc. The saddest thing is that so many people out there believe it. It's people like you and I who need to dismantle these misconceptions by showing how beautiful Islam is. If it wasn't for such amazing dawah organizations out there, many people wouldn't be Muslim today. One such amazing organization is the Islamic Diversity Center. For over 17 years now, they've been building bridges within communities and calling people towards Islam through education, awareness, engagement, and empowerment. Their amazing work has resulted in hundreds of people accepting Islam and thousands more understanding that Islam is not about killing and murder. Rather, it is a peaceful religion full of understanding, harmony, and worship. In order to continue guiding the masses, they urgently need to raise £50,000. That's just 500 people donating £100 each. Now, as Muslims, if we can't sacrifice our time and resources to call people to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then at least we should sacrifice a tiny percentage of our wealth, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us with. Please donate £100 today and earn Sadaqah Jariyah on your scale of good deeds from now until the end of the Day of Judgment, where your only hope of entering Jannah is through the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Please, lastly, hit the share button. Wajazakumullahu khair.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You're watching Newcastle Fast FM. This is the Late Show live. Every night from midnight onwards, we're going to be here talking about different topics with different guests. I'm your host, Abu Tayeb, and we have our co-host with us for tonight, Brother Jamaal. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. I understand that my Wi-Fi is not too great today, so I might just end up just being a spectator on this fantastic topic tonight, but I'm going to put as much input as I can. Walaikum salam rahmatullah. I'm looking forward to speaking to our Ustad today, Muwawiyah Tucker. MashaAllah.
Yeah, it's going to be good, man. Introduce him, Jamaal. Introduce our guest, bro.
Well, yeah, so you probably do a better job than that, but it's our Muwawiyah Tucker, and mashallah, I don't know how you would like to describe yourself, but I know you're very active on the scenes, giving some great advice out there. I understand you're a Medina graduate as well, aren't you? And if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Did you hear us okay? Can you hear me okay? Okay, mashallah. Yeah, it's just stop me if I'm wrong in any way, but yeah, mashallah, we're looking forward to this. Good.
Yeah, man, he's great at giving advice. Well, I was just going to say, you said he gives good reminders and stuff like that. Most of his reminders that I ever hear about is Bitcoin, yeah? So we're going to discuss that tonight, inshallah. That's for sure. Okay, Muaawiyah, let's introduce him, man. That's a good introduction, Jamaal. Let's get Muaawiyah on the scene, bro. Assalamu alaikum, Muaawiyah. How you doing, brother?
Wa alaikum salam, alhamdulillah. How's my sound? Does it sound good?
It's all right. It's good, man. Glad to have you on the show, bro.
Alhamdulillah, exactly. Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to it, mashallah. I'm looking forward all week, thinking, yes, I'm going to sit down, Abu Tayeb, my man's Jamaal, mashallah.
So let's start off by talking a little bit about you, bro. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, where you're from, what you're doing. Give us a little bit of background, bro.
Okay, so I'm, as you know, Muwawiyah Tucker. I graduated from the Islamic University of Medina. Before that, even I accepted Islam while I was in college. So that was when I was, I think, 17 or 18, just over 20 years ago. And yeah, so I went to I studied Islamic Sharia, or I got a degree in Islamic law in Medina University. So that was 2008. So 2008, graduated, came back to UK, was excited to get busy teaching, educating people about Islam through the Arabic medium, Arabic language. That's where I established an institution called Arabic Courses to fundamentally to teach Arabic, and then from the Arabic to teach Islam. That was the vision, that's the idea. And to this day, alhamdulillah, now it's 2020, we're still teaching Arabic, still doing stuff, still keeping busy, alhamdulillah.
Okay, alhamdulillah. So tell us a little bit about life before Shahada, yeah? Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you was up to when you were, before you took Shahada, and what led you to take your Shahada.
Well, I mean, before Islam, so because I became Muslim so young, life before Islam wasn't that extensive. I mean, funny enough, I've actually been Muslim longer than I've not been Muslim, or before longer than I was Muslim. So Muslim at 17, I've been Muslim about 20 years now. So yes, I've been Muslim longer than I've been not Muslim. But yeah, so before that, I was pretty much into my gadgets, tech stuff, physics, maths, that kind of stuff. I had aspirations to be an astronaut. Inshallah, one day I still will be. One day, inshallah. If Elon Musk finishes his SpaceX program and gets us to Mars, inshallah, over there. That's basically really. I mean, that was my main thing. And as we know, I've done a few lectures with you in the universities up north, where we talk about racism, and I mentioned that before I was Muslim, I was pretty much a racist. So alhamdulillah, Islam took me away from that and saved me from that madness. But yeah, that's kind of my life before Islam. On a I guess a theological level, I was a Christian, but you could say my Christianity, or my version of Christianity, was actually quite monotheistic, because I didn't believe that Isa did things of his own accord. I believed that he did his miracles by the permission of Allah. So that was kind of in line with what I ended up becoming as a Muslim. The only hang up we had at the time was that he was the son of God. So that was kind of the last remnants of that life, was that he was the son of God. But beyond that, he was still a creation of Allah, and he had no powers of his own, which is in line with Islam. So yeah, it was interesting how that was already, you can almost say, halfway there. It was just that last step to become Muslim.
Alhamdulillah. And how did your family take that when you decided that you wanted to take this path of Islam? How did they respond to it?
My parents.
Yeah, your parents, your family, just generally people that were close to you.
Funnily enough, I mean, I've heard other people who said similar things, that their parents weren't really bothered, and the same with mine. It was like okay, fair enough. If that's good for you. It wasn't that big a deal. Ironically, after I graduated from Medina, in that time when I was in Saudi, I was kind of trying to give dawah to my mum while I was there and whatnot, when I used to come back on holidays. And I think that dawah of kind of inspiring my mum about religion and whatnot actually caused her to go back to Christianity, kind of thing. She started going back to church.
Oh, really?
After I talking to her about religions. Yeah. I've heard that happen quite often when people give dawah to their families. That kind of inspires them to go back to what they was more than Islam. I don't know what it is, but maybe they kind of think to themselves that, it's good to be religious, and they go back to what they think is the right religion, right? Really thinking about whether it's right or wrong. So Mom kind of got into the church things, like God, and that's actually when it became an issue. She wasn't bothered before that. It's only bothered after that. She was quite upset with that. And then my sister became Muslim as well at that time, and then things really blew up. So when I was Muslim, it was like, yeah, if you want. When my sister became Muslim, it was like, okay, now you're brainwashing my daughter. Look what you're doing. But alhamdulillah, since then, dawah's been good. Mom's calmed down. Everything is good. My sister's still Muslim. Got children. Got married to a Muslim man. That's all good. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
Is your mom any closer to the deen now, do you think?
Pardon,
do you think your mom's any closer?
Guys are breaking up. Can I say that again?
Do you think your mom is any closer to the deen now than she was before?
It's yes, yeah, because the thing is, as I've said to many people, when you take Shahada, obviously the family's the in a way, they're not happy with it. But generally speaking, when you start living your Islamic life, you start having children, you start seeing your children how well behaved they are and the rest of it. That kind of does more da'wah than anything you could say. So my mom's very proud of her grandchildren. She's very happy with all of them, and you could say, very much more closer to accept Islam than before. But it's now at the stage where it's not really thinking about anything really, just keeping up with the bills and the rest of it. So it's just that part of the dunya which is a bit distracting. So inshallah, the da'wah continues. The da'wah continues.
Inshallah, inshallah. So you mentioned you were you studied in Medina. You tell us a little bit about that. Share an interesting story from Medina, bro. Let us know what sticks out for you, your time in Medina in particular.
Well, this is I mean, one of the most important things I've taken from studying Medina, and I think this is something that almost everyone who studied anywhere, not just Medina, but studied anywhere, would say and agree with, is that you kind of learn how much you don't know. And I think that's one of the most important things you learn, is that the more you learn, the more you realize that the scope of knowledge out there is so vast, and what you really know is very little. So that was very humbling for me, because definitely when I first became Muslim, I thought I knew everything. I thought I knew everything, as you do. So you give dawah, you're very confident. The world can't stop you. And then when you go to Medina, you realize, wait, I don't know a lot. There's a lot of things I don't really know. So that was a very, very important thing about the whole process, is learning that the scope of Islam is very wide. The ulama have their station and their place for a reason. That's definitely one big thing. And also, I guess the other element is al-Islam as a whole. I mean, it's hard to explain in a few sentences or phrases, but when you study Islam to a deeper level, especially when it comes to the Sharia, which is our speciality, our takhasus, our speciality was Islamic law, you really do feel and realize and see firsthand how Islam is a religion for everything, every element of life, not just it's not just a religion for meditation and feeling good. It's not just a religion of collecting money in church once a week, or singing and dance. It's a religion for every single part of your life, whether it's to do with marriage, to do with transactions, to do with government, to do with every element or every facet or avenue of life. You find that Islam has touched upon it, elaborated on it, and given some benefit. I mean, just one example. One of the subjects I like studying is psychology, and the psychologists recently, when I say recently, like in the last 10 years, in terms of treatment for OCD, one of the things that they've put forward is that you can say the idea of how can I say, basically OCD, the mechanism in the brain of OCD is whereby essentially you're not giving any credence or any value to your senses, what you feel, what you hear, and you're giving more credence and value to doubts. So you like we're doing wudu. You've done wudu. You've washed your arms. You've done it. You feel the water on your limbs, but because of your condition, you don't trust that, and you still trust the doubts more. So they've put forward a treatment of basically ignoring the doubts. You could say that. So like basically whatever doubts they have, you ignore it. But that's interesting, because that was actually studied, or that was mentioned by my Sheikh Sulaiman Ruhaili back in 2002. This is before the psychologists in the West came up with the idea. He said that I'm a waswas, someone who has biswas. The only cure the ulama say is for him to ignore his waswas. So you can see there that Islam has in it, and although it's to do with salah and wudu, we have the issue of waswas, someone who has doubts about their wudu and such. That actually is OCD. And the treatment Islam already gave decades ago, centuries ago, they now are saying, yeah, this is the right move forward. So you can see Islam touches almost every element, psychology, everything, and that's actually a very amazing part about Islam. But anyway, I've spoken. I can rant on. Sorry,
no, it's good. I mean, I think it's really interesting because the Prophet ﷺ talked about this, and even after his death, when the companions were being mocked about, oh, your Prophet even taught you this, and even the smallest of things, and then they would reply with, Yeah, he even taught us everything that we need to know in our daily lives. So it's not something that is just for the masjid or just for your homes.
Yeah.
It's a holistic part of our life. It's part of our identity, and you can't separate
Yeah,
our
definitely.
Islam from our identity. It is our identity, and that's the important thing. I think that we can take from that every single aspect of our lives is governed or influenced by our deen. Essentially, it comes down to, isn't
Exactly.
it?
Exactly.
And that's
Exactly.
that's one of the most beautiful things about this religion. You can have a dua for literally every single thing in your day, from the moment you wake up to washing yourself, to going to put your clothes on, looking in the mirror, going to work, coming back, eating, going to sleep. You have a dua for every single aspect of our lives, pretty much, right? In our daily lives, I'm talking about. So every
Yeah.
aspect is pretty much covered, if not specifically, then at least generally, and with principles that we can apply.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. So I mean, that's and since graduating, I've kind of continued my studies in a wider scope of things, even to do with things with physics, and I started to get back into maths again, and I started to learn about other things, psychology and economy and the rest of it. And again, almost everything that I've come across, there's always something that I find that, oh yeah, we learned that in Islam. Oh yeah, we learned that in I learned that in Medina, or I learned that from some of my shaykh. There's always something that I'm learning in, you could say, in the secular world, if that's the right word to say, that you find already that Islam's already touched upon. So that's been an amazing thing about the whole experience, I would
Alhamdulillah,
say.
alhamdulillah, that's brilliant. And the next thing I want to talk to you about is your center that you set up, the Madar Center. Now, before we go into
Yeah,
that, because that's an interesting project, which I really, really like. When I came to visit, I really liked your setup and the way it was done. But before we go into that, I've just got to
yeah.
make a quick shout out. If everyone could see down below, we're doing, Jamaal, point down, yeah, to the ticker tape, yeah. We're doing in the last 10 nights, we're doing, yeah, everybody point downwards, yeah. Well, wait a minute, where he is. Yeah, everybody point downwards, yeah. You can see when the last 10 nights we're requesting for our Dawah Center, the Islamic Diversity Center, for people to support our Dawah by texting Islam to 70085 and donate £10 regularly. £10 a month is what we're asking. If you don't want to do it on your phone, then you can go to the website idcsupporter.com and become an IDC supporter by setting up a regular donation of £10 per month to ensure that our Dawah can continue up here in the Northeast. So we've got a Dawah Center similar to what Muawiyah's got. We're going to talk about that now. So Muawiyah, over to you, bro. Tell us about the Madar Center. What kind of projects you've got there? Tell us a little bit about
Yeah,
that.
so as I mentioned before, we started off doing teaching Arabic. That was when we was graduating, we had some of us and the students got together, and we were thinking what can or should we do once we graduate, and everyone had different ideas, and I kind of had the idea I want to teach Arabic because I feel that, as it was my own experience from learning Arabic, it opened up so much doors of knowledge. I wanted to do the same to others, so I wanted to give people the tools to understand the Quran, the Sunnah, and the religious texts, so they can open up the same doors that open up to me. So I came back, we set up Arabic courses, and then my wife said, "Why don't you do something for the kids?" Then we did madrasa, and they said, "Why don't we do something Umrah?" Then we did Umrah, and as the years went on, we started to add more and more things to the project, and eventually the name Arabic courses didn't really fit what we were doing. We were doing everything, not just Arabic courses. So that's where the name Al Madar came from, which is basically Al Madar, like a pivot, where all different things happen in that one central part. So that's what we got. We established a charity a few years back, which is now Al Madar Charity, which we do kids activities, madrasa, Arabic. You can say community centers where people can use our facilities. You can hire our facilities, although not hiring any now because of COVID, but we can hire our facilities and anything really. We've had many people come in and do the dawah projects, education, lectures, whatnot.
How did you get the center? How did you get the actual building itself?
Yeah, so it was a new build. It was basically it was a brand new building. So when we got it, it was empty shell, and basically we just built it out. So we designed the classrooms and the reception how we wanted it to look, and then just because we had a vision in mind, we wanted classrooms, wanted the hall for activities, wanted the reception for people to have maybe a coffee shop and toilets and whatnot, and we just designed it, and that's what we've been ever since.
You make it sound very easy, bro. Like we just got a building. I mean, obviously, people struggle even just to get a space to operate from. So how did you? What happened? What's the story behind that? How did you end up getting a building that you could actually, fit out?
It was literally as of everything, the qadr of Allah. We were looking. We saw this building, we saw that building, and as you said, it's hard because most buildings are not catered for what we want. I mean, they're either offices or they're shops or they're restaurants. They're not catered for a dawah center. So we were looking, and then Sahara Grill, the restaurant, they said, "Look, we're looking at this property. We're not going to take the whole plot. Maybe what's remaining, you could take some of that." So we went there, looked around, and I said, "You know what? It's an empty place. Perfect. It hasn't got anything in it, which means we can make it what we want it to be." Now, in hindsight, I mean, there's no regrets, but in hindsight, if anyone else would have gone there, I would have thought, this project is too big. But I always belittle things that are really big and making small. So I thought it was going to be like a small project. It turned out to be huge. But that was kind of what pushed or propelled me forward. My assumption that it would take me a couple of months and I'd be up and running, but it didn't. But anyway, Qadr Allah, it worked out. We're here, we're surviving.